Shelbourne beaten at home by Palace by 3-0. Uche, Nketiah and Pino scoring in the first half as well. Let's talk Celtic with Paddy, who's a Celtic fan. Hello.
Morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. What do you want to say?
I was basically just calling up to try and at least, offer some alternative opinion to Wilfred Nancy. I mean, everything that we've heard since he was appointed last week and came straight in the door and took on Hearts in his second day in the job, third day in the job, it's been absolutely embarrassing through the kind of reporting side and the whole social media side about this guy. Talking about his tactics board, and I think it was Neil that was talking about his green trainers about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Come on, Neil, that's absolutely
nonsense. That was the other one, I know.
Listen, it's not a fashion show, There's a certain club up in Scotland where you get absolutely vilified if you don't wear brown brogues, so I think we can give the green trainers on us.
But what do you think of the way he's conducted himself, and what do you think about the way the club has conducted himself? Because it may well be that he is an excellent coach and he is someone who can certainly influence Celtic, but was he given the best possible chance to do so, bearing in mind he was rushed in the door at the end of last week after Martin O'Neill seemingly had got things settled and on an even keel? Was there any need to disrupt it in that manner? Once they realised that the work permit stuff wasn't going to go through that quickly, once they realised that it was going to take a little bit of time, why didn't they just keep him on the bench for a little while, or just keep him in cold storage just until there was an opportunity to bring him back in when he had the opportunity to actually implement his methods or some less high pressurised fixtures?
Well, straight away, I would say that's a bit of a different narrative of what's actually happened. I mean, what we saw this season, and it's not just on the manager and the players, there's been a lot of internal conflict between the club and management and, a lot of stuff with the transfers and whatnot, but we've had Brendan Rodgers walk away for the second time, may I add. We've had to bring in an interim manager, and luckily enough, Martin O'Neill stepped up with Sean Maloney, Mark Fotheringham, Steve McManus, as well as Gavin Strachan, who's still there. Steadied the ship, got us some great performances. As far as I'm concerned, those players were kind of all over the place at the start of the season. Everything was not looking great whatsoever. The football was terrible. You had Brendan Rodgers coming out almost every week, make snide little comments about, having to manage a team of Honda Civic players. And then Martin O'Neill comes in and you can see the players, they look far more refreshed. They look a wee bit more aggressive. The Honda Civic starts getting into fifth gear. And we get the performances coupled up with final. We beat them away a couple of weeks ago. And then we've got the new manager in. But it's not as if we've literally just, kicked Martin O'Neill out the door and just brought this guy in the next day. The deal for Wilfred Nancy's obviously been in the work for weeks. And work permits allegedly have held that up. That's why we've had to, ask Martin O'Neill to stay on just that wee bit longer. And you guys will know fine well what Martin O'Neill's comments have been. He's come out and said it. He's been in your studio or on the phone and saying, I don't want to be the permanent manager. I'm hanging on until I'm needed to be told to go. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, but why would the new manager come in and change everything when you've done so well?
So,
I know if Martin's not staying.
Neil, what is it he's changed? What is it he's changed so dramatically?
Well, it almost looked like tactics to me.
He did change the formation, did he not, in his first game at the weekend?
He's playing 3-5-2.
Right,
so it's not that much dissimilar from what we play. When we play at Celtic Park, and we've got teams like Hearts to a certain extent for the first half. And you know what it's like, Neil, teams come to Celtic Park.
They sit in, don't they? Yeah.
They sit in their own half. So it's essentially, see, even if we start in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 or whatever, a four at the back formation, those teams sit in and we've got all our players going forward anyway. And we've literally got two guys sitting at the back camping out, with the rest all supporting. So that's why we've got an extra body there, and the person who was playing on the left-hand side of the 3-5-2 was Kieran Tierney, who is a fullback, right? I'm sure one of the guys said earlier on that, there's three left-footed centre-backs playing in the back three. See, prior to Brendan Rodgers leaving, Austin Trusty was at the team. We didn't know why. I think he had a slight injury as well, but we didn't know why he was out the team, and we were playing like Dane Murray at Hearts and whatnot. Brendan Rodgers more or less came out and says that Austin Trusty can't play on the right-hand side. See, since Austin Trusty's come into the back three, and previous to that, a couple of games with Martin O'Neill playing the two central defence with Scales and Trusty, who are both left-footed. Trusty's had some cracking games on the right-hand side, and Trusty's probably been one of the better defenders. He's
Okay,
been really, really good.
okay. So you think that there's still more to come, and you're a little bit sort of okay. Hold on 2 seconds.
It's two games.
Paddy, you've had a long say, and we're going to just get the converse opinion from Mark, who's another Celtic fan. So, Paddy, you stay there, and you might want to talk to Mark in just a minute. But Mark is not so convinced that everything is going to turn around for Wilfred Nancy, and is not necessarily sure that it's been handled in the right way. Go on then, Mark, you say your piece.
Morning, gentlemen. Yeah, basically, I have never been someone who is has a knee-jerk reaction to managers. I was one of the last to say that Mowbray should go because I could see what he was trying to do, etc. However, as soon as I watched this guy's first press conference, I had him marked as a waffle merchant. He just waffles. He goes on about connections and positivity and using all these buzzwords. It's just management speak, utter waffle. And then you see his team, they run about that pitch against Hearts. When we were 2-0 down against Hearts, he was throwing everything at it. He looked to me, he didn't have a clue what he was doing. Last night, we were torn a shred by a good side. Granted, they are a good side. But I doubt we would have lost the game against Hearts under Martin O'Neill. And I doubt we would have been absolutely destroyed last night against Roma by Martin O'Neill with the same squad of players. Now, that squad lacks quality. We know that. We are deficient of probably 5 quality players.
And that's on the board that didn't spend the money that they were supposed to spend in the summer.
Of course.